Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me again for another episode of On the Couch with Fouch. Guys, you know where to find these interviews: Facebook, YouTube, or you can go to onthecouchwithfouch.com and you can sign up for the emails so that you don't miss any of the new interviews that are released every month. If you're watching on Facebook, please hit the like button, comment, share. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Guys, I have the great privilege of interviewing Jim Brady's better half.
Oh,
Melissa Brady. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. He's my better half, but that's good.
Okay. Well, you guys are watching. Most of you, for years now, they've known Jim with the Booth Brothers, so we're not going to talk much about him.
Oh.
We want to talk tonight about Melissa.
Oh, gee.
I want these people watching, I want them to know about Melissa Brady. I want them to hear a little bit of your heart. I want them to get to know you. So why don't you start from the very beginning? We'll talk about Jim just a little bit here.
Okay.
Tell them, kind of your story, how you and Jim met, and then where your path has directed you to today.
Okay. Interesting. Well, maybe. Hopefully.
They will find it very interesting, for sure.
Jim and I both met as kids when we were about 10 years old. My family traveled doing evangelistic work. His family traveled doing evangelistic work. And we both were singing with our families. And so we were singing and ministering at some of the same places. So we were friends for about 10 years. Wow. And, I totally lost my train of thought.
So you were friends for 10 years.
10 years, blonde moment. We were friends for 10 years. And then we sang at this place together. And I knew I couldn't say, I like you. I think you're cute.
Well, I like you too.
To him. I couldn't say I like you or I think you're cute, but I knew he was the one for me. So I told my dad, I said, Dad, it's Jim. I'm going to marry Jim. And we had kind of started dating. And about a year later, we got married. And then we traveled and sang together for almost 10 years. A lot of people don't know that. They're like, oh, we never heard you before. Wow. But we traveled with my dad in a group called the Schulers. And so we traveled and sang, the three of us, and loved it. We call it the good old days, getting to travel with Dad. We weren't quite as busy then, so we had some time off. And the boys would treat me to dinner and a movie or something for my birthday, so that was fun. But anyway, we traveled and did that for a while, and then the Booth Brothers called. And at first, Jim said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to leave you. We sing together. And I said to him, when the Lord gives you an opportunity, I think we should at least pray about it. Because I didn't want him to necessarily leave me because I would be alone. But the more we prayed about it, we knew it was God's will. So he went with them for almost 13 years. And so I was doing a lot of stuff at home. My parents had some health issues during that time. So I had the freedom to go to Ohio and help take care of them. And then I did some solo dates and women's events, and I did a lot of filling in. And then 3 years ago now, the Lord started the winds of change in our life, and we didn't know what it was. And it was eventually, obviously, us traveling and singing together again.
Awesome.
Which is incredible.
That is so cool. I knew that y'all had traveled together, but I didn't know it had been 10 years.
It was almost 10 years,
Wow.
like 9.5, something like that. And we even did the whole, going to the Quartet Convention.
Yeah.
And we, for years, in Louisville, we had a booth. This is just kind of funny. We had a booth right across from the Hoppers, which we thought was the coolest spot, And pretty much the biggest thing that ever happened at our booth was when George Yance came into our booth. And when he walked by, and Jim said, hey, George, can I get my picture taken with you? George walked into our booth. I snapped a picture of the two of them. And then immediately there was a line that just grew for the next hour or two. And George stood in our booth and gave autographs for the longest time. And then when he left, he said, young man, I'll come back in about an hour and draw you another crowd. Something like that. So, but the Schulers, we did well. We enjoyed it, and just loved doing it together.
So, did George give everybody, or when George was signing autographs, did y'all give everybody a Schuler CD as they were?
No, but we were sure hoping they paid attention.
Listen to us too.
Yeah. So now, and during that time, though, we did have a really good year at NQC when we had a good radio single, which was a song I had written called "Just Beyond the River Jordan," that a lot of people will still comment about and go, wow, I didn't know you wrote that. So that was our, probably, as far as the Schulers, our best NQC year was after that came out. And people actually came by looking for it. And it was exciting for us.
Well, speaking of that song, tell these folks where they can hear that song. Because
well, our group doesn't sing it.
Okay, so
sadly.
where can these folks hear? I mean, I've heard the song, so tell them where they could hear that song.
Honestly, I don't know. Except for maybe online.
Who has sung? Who has recorded the song? Then maybe they could find it.
Well, the Schulers did it.
Okay.
And then trying to think who else. I don't remember who else.
Okay.
Was it the Booth Brothers? No, the Booth Brothers didn't do it.
They
did a couple of other songs of mine.
Speaking of songs that you've written, we actually had several questions that came up on Facebook. Because what I do, I actually asked her before we started this interview if she'd ever watched any of these interviews. And she said no. Now, I wasn't asking her for a guilt trip. I was just simply curious if she had, because sometimes I need to explain to people how this process works, right? So I explained to her how we're going to do all this. All that to say, when I let people on Facebook know, hey, I'm going to have the chance to interview whoever, I get a bunch of questions from people, and then I just kind of filter through the questions and pick ones I want to ask. A lot of people ask songs about songs that have been written either by you and Jim or just by you or whatever. And so one of the questions came from Ellie Fuchs, Fuchs, and her question is, what inspired you to write Homecoming Day?
Oh, as a young girl. When I was 16, my grandfather passed away. And then shortly after that, I lost the rest of my grandparents over the next several years. And so I wrote Homecoming Day because I'd already experienced, even at a young age, what it was like to lose someone I really loved. And so that was my way of saying it's going to be okay. Even though I miss them, I have something to look forward to. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Give these people a little bit of the heart of Melissa Brady.
Ooh, I'll tell you what God's teaching me right now.
The short version, because I'm sure there's a ton that you could share.
What the Lord has taught me in the last few years, because we went through 15 months of a lot of difficulty. A lot of people know in 15 months we lost Jim's dad, his sister, my mom, and Jim's brother. And there's been a lot of pain.
Plus a new group.
A lot of
stuff going on,
a lot of stuff. And so Jim would tell you the highs have been high and the lows have been low, because God's really blessed our group and given us opportunities beyond our wildest dreams. But in the midst of that, all of this difficulty and some great pain. And I've learned this last year that I can either wallow in the pain and be sad and just eat Cheetos and watch Hallmark movies with happy endings, which is sometimes fun. But that's not a life with purpose. Or I can let God redeem the pain in my life. And if I do that, then he takes the pain that I feel and he uses it to help someone else. And about a month ago, a lady, now I'm going to get teary-eyed because you got me all on the heart.
We don't have a tissue sponsor, so
I'll just do this. A lady came to me about a month ago and she said, my mom died 2 weeks ago. And I was able to look at her in truth and say, I've been there, you're going to make it. And at that moment, God said, now aren't you thankful for that? And I could actually, it was such a shock to me that I could say, yes, I'm actually thankful. Not that my mom is gone, but that with her being gone, I can help someone else.
That's good.
So I'm learning to let God use my pain, and then it's redeemed and it's worth it.
Wow. What a good word. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I hope that is encouraging for someone watching this.
I hope so.
Maybe you've tuned in before and you've gotten a good laugh out of one of the interviews or something, and you tuned in today hoping for another laugh. But maybe you're going through something very similar right now, and that word that she just spoke speaks to you personally, and I hope that you're encouraged from that.
I hope so.
Because that's very, very good. Thank you for giving a little glimpse, because sometimes it's hard to be open and real with stuff like that. And so thank you for being open for that. That's great. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm going to switch.
Okay.
Because that was very good, but I want to get a little funny or a little fun thing in here.
That's fine. I'm a blonde and I claim it, so let's go.
Darcy Welke would like to know, did you pick out Jim's cologne, and what is it? Now, let me say, the reason I asked this is because I have had firsthand experience with this whole cologne thing with Jim.
Yes.
So I was like, I've got to ask that.
I did pick out his cologne. Do they know the funny story?
I don't think so. Share it.
Okay, so for a long time, he didn't tell anyone what he wore because it was like a signature scent for him. And I kind of liked that because it smells really good on him.
And that's when I first
Yes.
Heard about it all, yeah.
So, but here's what's funny too. Women come to me all the time. At concerts? Where's Jim? I haven't had my hug. He smells so good. So he wears, it's a cologne by Fresh, and I get it at Sephora. It's called Cannabis Santal. And it smells really good on him, like I said. Well, when he wasn't telling anyone, Joseph Habedank really wanted to know what he wore. And so he finagled and like seriously tried to get into my husband's suitcases or whatever to try to figure out what this was.
Yeah.
When they finally figured it out, I think it was Gerald Wolfe
Yeah.
who bought a bottle of it. And this is not necessarily cheap cologne. He buys a bottle. We walk into
Love it.
NQC, 2 years ago? 3?
Yeah,
Something like that?
It's around that, yeah.
Everybody kept hugging us, and I kept thinking, why are all the guys hugging us? Like Rodney, Gerald, Chris, everybody was hugging us. We'd already seen him for a couple of days. Come to find out, everyone was wearing Jim's cologne. Everyone. They used like a half a bottle on all their friends. Now, Jim, the cool thing was Gerald gave him the other half.
Yeah.
So Jim got a half a bottle of cologne out of that joke, but yeah, they gave him a hard time over it.
I just loved it because I remember...
Were you wearing it too?
I think I did that
Probably.
night. I remember about 3 years ago. It was around that time. We were on Jubilee Christmas tour when Jim was still there, so maybe 4 years ago. But we were out on the West Coast, and we were at some mall, and I had remembered the night before them talking about Jim won't tell anybody about the cologne he wears, And we went into a mall, and they said it's this brand, but we don't know what it is. So like I don't remember who it was, but me and another
Somebody figured it
guy or
out?
someone else, we went into that cologne store or whatever, and we were smelling each other. I'm like, no, that's not it.
You know what? You could have probably asked any lady in Southern Gospel Music, and she would have known. This was the one that smells
That's
like
awesome.
Jim.
I love that story. That is so good. And Jim has had several practical jokes played on him, especially
Quite a
by the
few.
Jubilee guys. I mean, you guys have there's one on a Jubilee Christmas video. There's all kinds of them. So.
Okay, so the Christmas one where they
Oh,
played the
my
joke on
goodness.
him, where they told his Chris told his
Almond.
Christmas story
Yeah.
before Jim could tell it. I'm such a blonde. I sat in the crowd during the videotaping going, wow, how could that happen to both of them? I believed it was real for the longest time until Jim came up and said he stole my story.
And Jim said in the video, he said, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Okay, here's what happened. We're doing Jubilee Christmas, and we're doing the video. And they say, okay, at the end of the video, we're going to ask everybody for their favorite Christmas memory or favorite Christmas story, whatever.
And Jim's was really sweet.
And Jim's was very emotional and sweet. And he had shared it, and he had told some of the guys. So Chris Allman decided, I'm going to, in the line of how they're going to do this, I'll end up being before Jim. So I'm going to tell Jim's story.
As his own.
As his own. So he told on video, live concert and everything, told Jim's story. You could just see the look on Jim's face while we were going down the line, person to person, got down to Jim. And Jim was just like...
I don't remember what he said to him.
I think he just stopped and said...
He gave him a hard time.
Chris Allman told my story. I think he just called him out, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I was just glad Chris didn't steal my story.
Oh, my word.
I wouldn't have known what to say.
Crazy.
That is hilarious.
Pranksters, that's what they are.
They
All of
are,
them.
absolutely. So if you ever... it's mainly has been on the Jubilee tour and everything, but...
It happens here
if
as
you
well.
don't like pranks... Don't ever be involved in the Jubilee gang because they will get you.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Melissa, at this point in the program, I normally do a thing called the Fouch Zone. But this year...
The Fouch Zone?
The Fouch Zone. And see, since you have never watched them before, you don't know what that is. So I'm going to explain to you real quick, but I want to do something different.
Okay.
Normally, I ask you questions rapid fire.
Okay.
So I go real fast and give you just a split second to try to answer. I'm not going to do that.
I'm nervous.
Instead, what I want to do is I want to do a little thing with some jokes.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do is I have 8 jokes here.
I have to pick
on
one?
cards. You're going to pick 4 of them.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're each going to read our jokes to each other. And the first person to laugh loses.
Oh no, I laugh at everything.
Okay. Well, hey, maybe I'll win
gonna
one.
lose.
I've lost twice already with other people I've done this with. So, depending on when yours is released, if you've seen those or not.
Okay, do I go ahead and read it?
Nope. You're going to go ahead and pick
I'm
3
picking-
more. So
Oh, okay.
get 4 of them. 3 and 4. All right. Good. Now.
I feel like you're cheating because you wrote these down. He knows them already. That's not fair to me.
This is going to be awesome.
Okay.
I'm excited about it. Now, I will say, I did think about having someone else pick the jokes. And
We're gonna do this again
I should have done
sometime.
that, and you do it. Okay. So do you want to go first or second?
Oh, I want to go first
Okay.
because I'm going to laugh at yours. Wait, do we do them one at a time?
We're going to do one at a time. So you read one, and then you give me a second to try to answer.
Oh,
and
cute.
Then I will try to answer. If I can't answer, then you will.
What do you call a bear with no teeth? This actually makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't tell that. Do I tell you now? Or do you guess?
What do you call it?
A gummy bear. Ah, you laughed.
Those are good. It's got to be like a...
It has to be a gut laugh?
It's got to be like a...
It has to be a gut laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it okay if I pinch my hand so like maybe I don't laugh so
Yes.
much? Okay, I'm gonna.
What kind of button does not unbutton?
Ooh, I love mysteries. What kind of button does not unbutton? I don't know.
A belly button.
I took a big breath and I didn't laugh.
Okay.
Yes. What did the digital clock say to the grandfather clock? Look, Grandpa, no hands. Ha ha. Okay. Next.
That was a good one.
Dadgummit. That's my phrase this week. I don't know why.
Comment. Why are ghosts bad liars?
Bad liars. Here goes bad liars. Because they're.
Because you can see right through them.
Oh, that's good.
not
That doesn't make me gut laugh, but it makes sense. What kind of lion? Oh, I kind of like this. It's sweet. What kind of lion never roars?
I'm laughing. I'm laughing
He's
at
laughing
you.
at me. You're laughing at me. Because I'm a dandelion.
Oh, that's so sweet.
See, I think
when
lose.
you started reading that, I was like, I remember the answer to this, and you were like, "This is so sweet."
I know.
I lose again. Yes. I cannot wait. I'm even writing the jokes on the paper.
My mom would be so proud of me.
Melissa, thank you so much.
It's been
This
awesome.
has been so much fun. I've had a good time. Thank you for sharing, being open, and giving these people a little glimpse into you, your personality.
Thank you.
What makes you up? What makes you? However you want to
What
say
makes
it.
me up and cheerful and happy?
So, anyways, tell these people where they can catch up with you and with your group.
JimBradyTrio.com, and we have a Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. I love the pictures. Cats of Instagram makes me really happy. Sorry. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Maybe cat jokes would have gotten her this time.
Cat jokes would have been everything.
Guys, thank you so much for watching On the Couch with Fouch. Just hit the like button here on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, go to onthecouchwithfouch.com, sign up for the email list. Thanks so much, guys. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.